So, the last time that we came through here, we beat Yisich, and was that it? That was the last thing we did, right?
We beat Yisich and we got the outfit, which I am now wearing because it's a good
Right.
outfit.
The asynchronous outfit.
That's right.
I saw a cosplay of this that Remedy retweet. I think it was Sam Lake actually retweeted, like maybe yesterday morning.
Yeah.
It looked really, really good. I could not figure out which one was from the game and which one was real. And then I stared at it for a couple more minutes and I was like, oh, this one's got orange hair and this one's Jesse's a redhead. This is orange hair.
You should send me that later. I want to see. We need to investigate the sector elevator.
Damn it. I'll just have to go and deep dive through Sam Lake's Twitter to find it. Here's a link to a tweet, which is warning, explicit content, and it's just a slow motion video of a pizza.
Hey, that can be pretty explicit depending how hungry you are.
I suppose so.
And now that I think about it, I'm very hungry. Here's the sector elevator. We're going to the dark place. Oh, yes! Yes!
There was something there. Reaching for her. Trying to make her act. It was a distress call. Phaeton sensed a drowning man. A hunger in the dark. Investigation sector.
Investigation sector, huh? We should check this out.
I really like that
shit.
FMV screen effect.
His hair's getting long, huh?
Yeah, it's getting a little frazzled.
Man, yeah, no, we're really getting into it. I'm happy that I was originally kind of going back and forth on whether I wanted to just do Alan Wake's American Nightmare in one go, or two, I guess was, what I was thinking we were going to have to do, or, make it wait a week for Yakuza, because I forgot how far away we were from some of this stuff. But yeah, it's all coming to a head. Also, he looks really good in their FMV, like you said, their Northlight engine stuff.
Yeah.
I really like how they use this FMV in this game.
The investigation sector. I've never been here before.
Hello? Anyone here?
And I suppose it's aptly named.
Guess not.
Yo, if I end up having to fight, like, Taken, that would be awesome. I don't know how I would do it, considering that Jesse doesn't have a flashlight, but it would still be awesome.
Well, you could do it a couple of different ways.
Crowded.
I haven't been paying close enough attention, but does your gun emit light when you shoot it, like muzzle flash?
I mean, a bit. Probably not enough, or else that would work in Alan Wake, too.
What if you, jammed it into their head and then pulled the trigger?
Point blank? You think
Yeah,
that would be
the muzzle
enough?
flash.
And the muzzle flash is like, light travels faster than a bullet. So you break the darkness and then the bullet deals the killing blow, you think?
Maybe so. But, I guess I'm operating on the logic of, it was doubly effective when you, cast light from the inside, right?
Yeah.
Like when you put the clicker inside
right.
Barbara.
It is
Now, I don't
dark
know-
in here.
Now, the thing about Barbara is that it was oh, you have to fill her heart with light, the place where light doesn't exist. But it's also I don't know, man. If you shoved a gun in the mouth of a Taken and then fired off a little bit of light, you could probably make them swallow a Christmas light bulb and it would do damage.
So in other words, what you're saying is we have to get Barry on the case.
Whoop! You see that? See that correspondence you picked up?
Which one?
Cauldron Lake.
Oh, did I just completely glaze over that?
Yeah. Roughly 20 seconds ago, if Twitch is any indicator.
Let's see. Nope, not here. Correspondence. Cauldron Lake update. To Chief Investigator Dennis. It happened again last year. Third time this year. Something certainly has it out for unknown. Could be raccoons. The locals certainly complain about them enough, but why the hell would raccoons keep going after a monitoring station? Doesn't add up. Anyway, I've got a bureau tech going to the site next week to take a look. Next on the list of recurring problems is the staff at the Lake House Research Station. How am I supposed to effectively keep an eye on this big unknown lake if they won't let me see any data? Hell, I don't even know what they're researching out there. We need to petition them again to share their info with investigations agents. It's only a matter of time before this darkness hits again, and I want to be prepared. Anyway, if anyone at HQ asks why the Bright Falls report is a little thin this month, tell them it's because we couldn't take any readings. In the meantime, I might invest in some raccoon traps. Sincerely, Agent Estevez. Fucking raccoons, man.
Okay, first of all, I really like that you pronounced it raccoons, because I was also gonna do the same thing in my head. Secondly, pretty much every, I don't know. Maybe it's
can I stop you for a second?
Yeah.
Pay really close attention to this footage that's coming up, and you're gonna see something really weird happen.
I will. Wait. I'm not sure if I'm getting it, but I'm seeing weird things. Was it like the shimmering in the in the rafters?
It was me vaulting over a banister, apparently teleporting, and then looking really confused for a second.
Oh. You ought to investigate that.
And when you get into this kind of game, it could be intentional, it could not be. You don't know.
You don't know.
It's
God, I was just watching, once or twice a year, I like to go back and watch Joseph Anderson videos on Fallout 4 and Fallout 76.
Yeah.
And his butchering of Schrodinger's cat as Bethesda's bug is really funny to me. And to me, yeah, it's that same thing as is this intentional? Or is this the game being a little too big for its britches? I have no idea.
Anyone's guess.
If you're really willing to go meta with it and fan wank territory and whatnot, you could be the reason that so many the reason that so many contrivances for gameplay can exist in Alan Wake is because it has to be that way for the story to make sense. And you could also say the same thing for Control is of course the game is buggy. The nature of the world means that not everything should make sense.
The nature of the world is that it's buggy.
That's right. Now, call me crazy, but this room that you're in, I understand that the lights are not on because of bad things, but to be honest, this is really cozy to me. If I was to work in an office environment and it had this kind of sort of pouring in of lighting, I would be way more down to work in an office, I think, if there were this and not fluorescence blaring.
I mean, I tend to be more of a fan of darkness myself, you know this.
Just makes me feel I don't know, it stirs the creative juices a little bit more. Also, less strain, I guess. Fluorescence gives me headaches. I don't know if it's necessarily fluorescent lighting that gives me headaches.
Or just bright light in general.
Well, I was gonna say, I don't know if it's fluorescent lights or just the nature of me being in a place that uses fluorescent lights. The knowledge that I'm inside an office building, right? Although, bright lights do absolutely also give me headaches. I do not enjoy being outside around before twilight hours, I guess.
I can't seem to... I've forgotten it. I'm sorry. My name is Alan Wake.
A bit of a seizure warning, maybe.
A little bit.
Who
You
are
look so fucking good in this
Do I know
engine.
you? I'm your friend Tom. Tom Zane. There's nothing to worry about.
Tom, the poet, the diver, you look different.
That was just a role, a character. The protagonist I played in my old film. I'm a filmmaker.
I want to point out, this is not FMV.
We're working
Just
on
in
this
case
together,
there was any
remember?
doubt.
An artistic collaboration.
He just looks like Alan, but young.
He super does. That's what threw me off. Because
You
I'm
need a
like,
drink.
wait, is that Mr. Scratch?
Could you fucking imagine?
Could you fucking imagine?
I could be wrong. I think we got rid of Mr. Scratch.
I mean, it's easy to think that at the time.
I hope we got rid of Mr. Scratch.
Endless darkness. Nothing holds still.
But we're very close now. You've been writing. You found a way to escape. It'll work this time.
Riding?
You found a way!
No. I don't.
What a fucking payoff. What a fucking payoff.
There's something. It's my double. He's out there.
Yeah! Yeah!
See?
Yeah. Nothing to worry about. I'm dealing with it. It's fine, my friend. Let me handle him.
You've met him? What the hell?
Now, come on. You misunderstand me.
Oh my god, I love this fucking game.
That was Alan Wake.
God,
the
it's
writer
so
who went
nuts.
missing
Okay,
in that
okay,
AWE
okay.
case I read about.
So,
What's he doing here?
whatever that does or doesn't mean,
And
I want
Thomas
to point out,
Zane was
just
with
like,
him.
keep in mind the
The
context
poet.
of
No, wait.
hearing the
He was a
words,
filmmaker.
my name is
I was
Alan Wake, I'm a
wrong.
writer, and having Alan and Thomas Zane show up in a cutscene, and having that be the first thing that you've seen from this cult game in a decade. Like, okay, with, you know that Twin Peaks ended on a very famous cliffhanger for 30 years.
Right?
Aside from that, like, Alan Wake is up there for me as just like, that kind of shit doesn't happen. Also, welcome, Prince Cosmo.
Welcome in
You,
Omicron.
Welcome in Omicron. You have stepped into
Welcome
the
in
most excited
Ordinary.
I've been. This, fuck, dude, fuck. This is great.
I mean,
I'm
I'm
so
excited.
happy.
I love this, and I don't even have, like, the same amount of love for Alan Wake that you do. Also, you're not getting this. The audience is getting this, but you're not. The radio static and, like, general appliance noise coming from these objects is very loud and harsh. Which
Yeah.
is super duper intentional. Gonna
And
go
very
ahead and say.
intense. Prince Cosmo likes Jesse's asynchronous coat, which
It's
is
a good
great
coat.
considering it took us like the better half of an episode to get it.
And we're not getting rid of it. It's here to stay.
It is probably, I don't know if I would say it's the best outfit in the game. It's probably my favorite one. I really like the astral dive suit also. But the coat is really good.
Shit.
And the fact that you get it the way that you do is like, it's pretty fantastic.
Killed everyone it could. Lurking, roaming, waiting. Then something else came. A resonance. The thing that had been Hartman went through another change.
This whole game is a great big fucking hook for Alan Wake. I love it. I mean,
I could,
obviously not, but also, like, come on.
when you consider how long, when you consider like the passion project that game was, and how long it took to come out, how troubled the development was, and then how the history of them trying to get it back off the ground went. Like, for context, for people who don't know, Alan Wake was a severely troubled development for a long time. and eventually got picked up by, Microsoft, who helped them out at the extreme expense of what that game could be, and like a ballooning budget, and had all these issues. Became a cult hit, ended on a cliffhanger, and then 8 years later, you get this. And essentially, Remedy had always wanted to make the sequel and always wanted to continue Alan Wake as a story and as like a potential franchise, like whether it was comics or TV, like or just a straight up game. They've always been trying. And the big thing was that technically Microsoft retained the rights to Alan Wake as a franchise until Remedy took a big fucking hit and bought it back in like a several $1 million, I think it was like $30 million or something just for the IP. And that was in 2019. And it's like, while Control is totally its own game, the hooks for Alan Wake are so cathartic. Not just for me, a huge mark for that game, but also for Remedy. Like, you can only imagine how much it must have sucked for them to not be able to make something for so long.
And they fucking love Alan Wake, you can tell.
It's like the second that they get the chance to do it, he's back in full FMV, looks better than he's ever looked. To the point that like most of the things that you're collecting and picking up are now centering on him.
Shift.
And it's okay. Also, I could technically be wrong, but I'm pretty sure you are now in this what counts as the second expansion. I believe. Like the Alan Wake stuff towards the end doesn't show up until you get into AWE expansion, which is it's where you are, I believe. But like that's the other thing, right? For them to like base the bigger and more expensively produced of their two like DLC expansions entirely on their old property like that. I mean, they didn't do that for Max Payne.
That makes sense, because this did kind of show up out of nowhere.
Yeah. Like it's hinted at a little, like you get little bits and pieces and Easter eggs about Bright Falls and Cauldron Lake and kind of what is going on with the nature of like Alan's manuscript. You can find as those two things that are in the Panopticon, which I think we still haven't found yet, are part of that. Like there's definitely stuff in the main game, but there's also more to come, and it's great. Also, like the shared universe of not Poets of the Fall, because Poets of the Fall exists in this game. Like you can find My Dark Disquiet, but then you can also find several references to the gods of Asgard as the band themselves. It's so good. And, some people might look at that and say, "Man, you're reading a little bit too into it. The Control is its own game, man." And the answer to that is,
I mean, yes, but also no.
They have, well, it's like we were talking about before, right? Even in some ways more than American Nightmare, it's two sides of the same coin. Or if you want to get, like, really bizarro with it, you could say that it's two sides of the three-sided coin.
Yeah? And the third side is something we don't know yet?
The third side is the stripe in the middle that you land on when your luck is perfect.
Right. The thin side of the coin.
That's right.
Which is all one side when you think about it. It's all like one contiguous surface.
Yeah. With like the same way that a straw doesn't exist because a straw doesn't have a hole in it. A straw is just a straw.
That's right.
Man, we're getting into it early today.
Getting into it real fucking deep.
This makes me feel way better about tabbing over and finding things about what is Randy Quaid doing in politics? I'm not even gonna... No, you know what? Forget that. I was just gonna say this makes me feel better about tabbing over and seeing Ready Player 2. I'm kind of shocked that Randy Quaid is still alive. I mean, like, don't get me wrong, I'm happy about it, I think. Unless he did something bad, I don't know.
It's well possible.
That's the tricky part, right?
Mm-hmm.
You want to know something that really, really sucks?
What's that?
So, we're not too far off from... Oh, we got something about Hartman that time. We're not too far off from starting Metal Gear.
Cool, cool.
But guess who totally came out as, like, one of the biggest creeps that I've heard about in recent years?
David Hayter?
No, fucking Quentin Flynn.
Oh.
And it sucks because MGS2 is my favorite in the
It's like the house has
series.
gotten a little wild in here.
And it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be hard trying to play that game and keeping that knowledge out of my head. Yeah, Prince Cosmo. Okay, so Bix, you don't know about the audio, but Prince Cosmo writes that the audio is hilarious and somebody made a spoof for like the codex for it. Let's just say that his creepiness is there's audio evidence as well as text log evidence. It's bad. He did like in character grossness on commission, basically.
I mean,
It's hilarious, but at the same time, it's awful.
now hold on. Now I'm confused.
Uh-huh. How can I help you, sir?
The way you set that up had me thinking like, oh, he's like a sex pervert who harasses people. Is that also true or no?
Yes.
Okay. I was hoping like, you know, consenting adults and all that.
I would say there's a little bit of column A and a little bit of column B.
So now I have to deal with an
Like,
interdimensional noise and sentient shadow.
It's the kind of issue where he's like cruising around conventions and fan forums and being creepy, but also being paid for it in some instances where people are like, will you do the Raiden voice and do this? And he's like, yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. So, I mean, it's a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B, but you mash those columns together and you just get BAD.
You get column D.
Get a power nerd. It's a good thing that there's so much more to talk about in that game than just Raiden. But see, you know what? Now that kind of sours Revengeance too a little bit.
Yeah. At least now you feel a little less bad about the sequel that we didn't get.
No.
No.
I still feel bad about it. You know what they could have done if they
What?
really didn't want to like continue Raiden's story? They could have just made a Gray Fox prequel. Or they could have even the parts of MGS1 that you didn't see. So you could have done more stuff with that. Who retains the rights to Revengeance? Is it Konami?
It's Konami, that's why we never got another one.
Oh man, Castlevania, Metal Gear, Revengeance. It just goes on.
Just goes on.
And you know what really sucks?
What's that?
I mean, besides everything about
Besides
it,
everything about everything.
I play me some Yu-Gi-Oh video games every now and then.
Yeah.
And they might be cheaply made, but they're fun and they can be good. Like Duel Links is pretty okay. You don't need to spend any money on it if you're good enough at it. But it's still owned by Konami.
That's owned by Konami?
Yes.
I did not know that.
Yu-Gi-Oh is like co-owned by the original author and creator, and Konami. Cards, man, cards. Cards and booster packs. For as
Them's
much
the
as I
breaks.
got into... man. I was gonna say, like, as a kid, well, even now, even more so now, even, I adore Pokemon. It's a really good thing that I never got into, like, buying booster packs and shit for the card game, and, like, the video games and anime were enough. But then I thought to myself, no, I could go for an Alan Wake collectible card game. And then I thought, that's stupid. And then I thought, yeah, but I want it. And that was all in the course of about 10 seconds.
That sounds about right.
Oh, I put so much into I really like, okay, so we talked about like the steady ramp up of not just combat, but Jesse's abilities. And I like to think back to the first hour of gameplay when you're running around and just shooting at like loops and barely kind of making it out alive. And here you are in your badass long coat, like flying, literally force choking people, and you're just Darth Sidiousing it up over here.
It's quite the escalation.
And it's like, you know, the enemies are definitely getting there too, but Jesse is kind of a god beast at the moment.
And whether or not that remains the case will all depend on how good I am at the game.
Well, I mean, I'll tell you, you don't need me to tell you that it continues.
Looking pretty godly.
It's hard not to do that in a fashionable suit. So we picked something up a little while ago, but I'll just read it off here off the wiki.
Fantastic
Arrest
idea.
report for Emil Hartman. So we have and the problem with that is that I'll just have to try and keep abreast of what we pick up and where. But yeah, you're totally in the second expansion. So, official arrest report. Offender, Hartman Emil. Victims' names, Alan Wake, Anderson Tor, Anderson Odin, Redacted, Lane, Rudolph, Dessel, Wendy Emerson, Thomas, and Redacted. Looks like he was charged on a kidnapping of an altered individual, sanctions against altered organization, obstruction of bureau investigation, and breaching the Ash Act. Additional notes. Offender's property seized as evidence to be used in conjunction with an ongoing AWE investigation. Offender's personal effects have been sent to research for analysis. After being cleared by bureau researchers, all victims have been released. Biannual surveillance orders were assigned to each, except the Anderson brothers due to their oldness, and Wake, who is possibly deceased.
Yeah,
Yo,
nobody
welcome
knows
back,
what
Kat.
the fuck happened to Alan Wake.
Nobody knows what the fuck happened to Alan Wake, except the Bureau is actively aware that something has happened to him, and is kind of aware of most of the events that happened. Like, up to this point, the Bureau is aware enough that they're like, okay, Alan Wake is a candidate for what Dylan and Jesse were a candidate for. We know that his manuscript is an altered item. We know that he can shift reality based on what he writes. And we know that the lake is involved in some way.
We know that it's an ocean.
They know that it's an ocean. And also, apparently, Emil Hartman is just up to his old tricks, where he's just constantly getting in the FBC's way and, like, stealing shit and trying to continue just being a straight-up criminal. And eventually they were like, okay, no, we gotta do something about this guy, because he's just getting in the way. Hartman has, like,
I saw
the want...
I saw something tall
Yeah.
and bad. Something not good.
something beyond comprehension.
An unthing, if you will.
A thing that was once another thing, perhaps. It's like Hartman thinks of himself as a James Bond villain, but he just keeps fucking everything up, and he keeps getting caught because he's just kind of a doofus. Not thing.
The third thing.
Like,
The
okay,
sound made darker, the darkness made louder.
10 years later, I
Hartman
can't
was
believe that
stretched
we're
like a
still
worm through
dealing
time.
with Hartman's bullshit.
The third thing
Yeah.
was a monster.
The third thing was a
Now we
monster.
crashed out of darkness toward Faden.
I just want to say, I really like how just the smallest glimpse of whatever the fuck that was, how uncomfortable that made me. I am a big fan of how horrible that is.
So also, here's something I'd like to point out.
Yeah?
Alan is now directly writing about Jessie and her
He is.
experiences.
And it could be said that perhaps he has written the whole game, and this is just another segment of the Dark Place.
It could perhaps be said that. I'm happy that you're catching on. So, yeah, the thing about like the third monster or whatever that you're looking at is being like as disturbing as it is. Remember when we played that perspective-based PS1 horror game for like an hour or whatever?
Which one was that? Yeah, the one with the apartment, right?
Yeah. And like the thing that showed up in there was like design-wise, it was pretty creepy for what it was. It was annoying that it turned into another Slender game or whatever.
Another
But,
frictional game.
Another frictional game. But like definitely at least for me, the most disturbing way to make your enemy happen is to make them almost human and just slightly askew in some way.
Conclusive and unusable.
I like that you said askew, because that is the perfect word.
I think this place
It is,
making fun of me.
in some way, discordant in a geometric sense.
Behind the closed
Just
door.
plain wrong.
I could hear the call bell go and ding multiple
A sense
times
of
a day.
wrongness.
There's no room there. I know I'm supposed to stay out of sight, but
Man,
the doors closing
this
just before
DLC is so
I catch
fucking
even a
crazy.
glimpse of anyone
I really
or
thought
anything.
that there was gonna be.
They're messing
So
with
okay, so here's the
whoever
thing
they
that
are.
I was worrying myself over was like
There's something.
I didn't remember whether or not the DLC packs started once you definitively beat the game and then like started them from that point. And B, I didn't know if they clearly led into like here's a point of no return, Jesse. Control does neither of those things.
I thought that too. I thought it would like start after the main game. But no, it just shows up.
Might have finally caught one.
And like even if it didn't,
Better work this time, or I swear to
games
God.
are usually pretty bad and blatant about when DLC and extra content starts because some dude shows up and starts talking like he knows things that he shouldn't,
Yeah.
or there's clearly like wording associated with, hey, this might be something that you can't go back from. Are you sure that you've done everything you want to do?
Doesn't happen. It just kind of drops it in your lap. And the only hint that you have that it's DLC that honestly I should have picked up on it sooner is like it just drops out of nowhere. Like, hey, like somebody comes up to you and says, hey, we found this weird thing. Maybe you should look at it.
It's just like a slight indication to go there, as opposed to like I'm picturing a conversation
Like a whole lot of pomp and circumstance.
like reverse shot with Emily, and Emily's like, hey Jesse, shifting back and forth, if you have anything that you need to do, make sure that you do it beforehand, okay? And then Jesse's like, okay, and then steps away, and then you can turn back and press E and then start the conversation again. Like every other game is that.
Yeah.
Or like fucking Dark Souls 3, where you walk up to Gale, and he's like, I come from a land far off. Press the E button and get sucked into the painting. It's like, no, none of that. Just, maybe go look at this thing.
Okay, so I don't have to tell you, because you were there. I kept a pretty cool head through most of October, and nothing really got to me, right?
Yeah.
I am not looking forward to coming face-to-face with this thing. You might even say I am apprehensive, incensed about it even.
Well, don't worry.
Don't worry.
You have the assistance of the champion of light, the scourge of light upon the dark. So you know what? Looking back on the whole October thing, I would say that kind of the biggest disappointment that I had up until that point was I kind of expected us to be like freaked out by some of the games, and it didn't really happen. Like every time that something weird showed up, it was either weird in a cool way, and that was usually horror, or it was weird in a way that we were like, oh god damn it, is this gonna turn into Slender?
And then it does, yeah.
Like, oh man, the game was so cool when it was just this weird perspective puzzle nightmare.
Or you have your shit that's like your World of Horror, where something horrible happens and you're like, hey, look at this cool art.
Yes.
Because it is cool.
I think, honestly, my favorite thing that we did that whole month was probably Iketsuki.
Yeah, I had a feeling you would say that.
Because it was just so... It was its own thing in a way that I really liked.
It wasn't even horror, I would go as far as to say.
It was just uncanny and, like, off-putting.
Uncanny, off-kilter, dark-themed.
Askew.
Perhaps.
It was... I especially liked the color palette and how much it reminded me of Majora's Mask the entire time.
My biggest fear right now is going over to that corkboard, because it sounds like there's copyrighted music coming from over there.
Is there?
There's definitely music.
Hold on. Let me look into it, because up to what I'm aware of, I think we've encountered most of it. Well, did you turn on the copyrighted music back on?
No, I left it off. But maybe they missed one, you don't know. Also, I forgot about that.
Okay. I would say in regards to the music also, it will be very...
It will be significant.
It will be significant. Okay, so damn it. God damn it. You keep telling me of the significance. So the music in this section, as we've said before, or the section in a little while anyway, is so good that I would either suggest like having it be just streaming it with the music on and doing it the way that it's supposed to be done, and then nuking the VOD and then editing the video later, or I would suggest like maybe like duplicating your save or something and being able to play it the right way around.
I mean, I am probably going to play this again.
Okay. It's just so good. It's probably... I wouldn't say that it's the best of the songs in these games, but it's probably the most it verges into, like, heavy metal. Like, the lyrics are not heavy metal, but the instrumentation is definitely... It gets close. In a really good way that I think you would like.
I mean, you know I like me some heavy metal.
The distortion on the guitar and the drum work in particular is really... It's really good. It's kind of... It reminds me a little bit of, like Black Sabbath, maybe. Good stuff. Hey, guess what? Music in a Remedy game is good. Who would have guessed? The trouble is just that it's so integral to that part that when the option came up in the menu for them to be like, hey, did you know that you can turn off copyrighted music? I was like, no, because what the fuck do you do without the copyrighted music?
It is regrettably important.
A Remedy game of all games to have an option to turn off copyrighted music. This is something I never thought I would see. Oh, also, I had the poor sense to type into Google control copyrighted music, and instead what I got was music copyright law, how to copyright songs into type.
How to be part of the problem in one easy step.
How you do it in 4 steps. Make sure the song is fixed in the Canva form, fill out an applicable form with the U.S. Copyright Office, pay the fee, submit copies of the work. That's not what I wanted. Google, that's not what I want. We're the good guys.
The Federal Bureau of Copyright.
Oh, fuck. Now we are the baddies.
Damn.
I've been looking into a Uncanny Valley. I've been looking into a certain holiday title for us to play.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, and on one hand, we can't play it without emulating it. On another hand, it's pretty bad. On the third mutant hand coming out of the stomach of the being, it's about 3 hours, and I think I have to do it.
What is it?
I'll give you a hint. It's based on a Tom Hanks movie that I hate.
Oh.
I like Tom Hanks, but I don't like that movie.
Alright, good news.
Sure...
I got Surge.
Ooh, good stuff. They sure did make a game out of it. They made a game out of it that went to like 4 or 5 different systems, which is crazy to me.
Strange.
Strangeness without charm. I wonder how good the emulation is.
Probably bad.
I mean, I looked on the wiki and it said that it was, like, fine, but I'm not sure if I believe it or not. I have these trust issues now with these games.
With everything, you mean?
Yes, with everything.
Let's go ahead and give Surge a try. Not what I was expecting, I gotta say.
You know what?
I was expecting, like, maybe some kind of crazy electric weapon.
Nah. I was wrong.
Right.
There are totally 3 copyrighted music tracks in this game.
Draining me.
2 of them I know exactly where they are. That third one is in Finnish, so you're probably okay. Although if it was gonna show up, it would show up during Finnish Tango. I would guess, based on the name. I did not know that that was a copyrighted track. It's interesting, though. Interesting to note that Sam Lake actually wrote the lyrics, which, cool.
Hartman background, if you want to go ahead and get that.
Let me see what I got here. Hartman background.
Shit. Now what?
That's not good.
Summary. Dr. Emil Hartman is an academic psychotherapist that owned and operated a recovery center in Redacted, focused on the treatment of artists struggling with creative blocks and other mental disorders. Publicly, Dr. Hartman's treatment center seemed unremarkable in its methods and purpose. Privately, however, Dr. Hartman was abusing his patients in order to utilize any redacted latent abilities they may possess with redacted, the aim of shaping to his own benefit, which has earned him a Class 2 paracriminal designation. Note, for more on the link between artists and their ability to redacted reality through artistic mediums, see file number redacted. Investigation has proven that Dr. Hartman's illegal endeavors were conducted alone. After being approached by the Bureau during the investigation, he displayed no remorse or intention to cease his actions. Dr. Hartman was taken into custody, evaluated, and released months later, having been deemed a negligible threat. His medical license has been permanently revoked. Get fucked, Hartman. I didn't know that, actually.
Get for being the fucking worst.
That's something that should have happened to him years and years ago.
Instead, now that happened to him, and now this is happening to him and to us.
It's like he wanted to be a supervillain with the pretense of being a therapist, but now that he's no longer allowed to be a therapist, he might as well just attempt to be a supervillain. And it's like you think about Hartman doing all this stuff, and then you remember that he's just like a rat-faced old dude wearing a cardigan.
He
Alan
defines
punched him in the nose.
Dumpy.
He defines Dumpy, and he also defines having a fucking glass nose. I hope that you get to... I don't remember if you get to see like a photo of him in this game or not. I would hope that you get to see a photo of him and his nose is still broken. And he's still got like a band-aid on it. Usually I don't wish so much harm on like fictional characters because that's dumb. But Hartman is just such a creep. He's such a creep and such a bad person.
There he goes.
Yeah, how do you like that?
You know, when you think about it too, Alan Wake had like a pretty interesting amount of yeah, how about that thing, huh? It's like a Batman Beyond splicer that was left in the sun too long.
Yeah, a little bit, huh?
But Alan Wake had like a pretty good set of villains, like as opposed to just your big bad. He's got his own little rogues gallery. Between the Dark Presence, between him and Mr. Scratch, and then Hartman. Like, that's already 3.
And I guess Mott kinda counts, but not really. Kinda.
Yeah, kinda. Mott was a... Ooh, I think you passed an audio file.
Yeah, I saw it, but like, damn.
I don't know, yeah.
I want to play the game.
I have Alan Wake is like, oh man, the gameplay in here is so cool as we stop to look at 6, like, narrated manuscript pages.
And this game is even worse about it.
It really is.
Which is not to say that I don't like it, but in this kind of scenario where I'm kind of on a time limit every time we do this, yeah, I'm gonna want to play the game more.
Here's something.
Yeah?
I picked up a screenplay page for a Night Springs episode.
I did. You should read that.
Night Springs script, episode Over the Threshold Darkly by Alan Wake. Voiceover. It is only human nature to wish to control the forces around us, and even more so to possess them. But what happens when those forces are not ours to claim, or even of this world? What if they are the things you can discover?
What are you doing in investigation?
Night Springs.
Jesus, don't scare me.
Secret lab, night,
If you're
interior.
talking right now,
We are in a
I can't
secret
hear
lab.
you. It's a
The large
one-way
sign on the
system.
wall reads,
Try to
the
find
Federal
an
Bureau of
intercom.
Night Springs. Scientist. I've told you several times, Doctor. It isn't ready. Director. It's ready when I say it's ready, Doctor. Scientist. But the thing, beyond the portal, we have no control over it. That's it. That's all he wrote. It's page 1. Again, Alan is a successful writer, if not a good one.
And that's really all you
Langston,
need.
it's me, Jesse.
I know. I can see you on the monitors.
You don't
The cameras in
understand.
there haven't
It's
worked since
not
we sealed
ready.
that sector off a couple years back.
We haven't
Let me
tested
guess.
it yet.
You sealed it because of the monster guy.
Wait, did you see Dr. Hartman? Jesus, I
Of
really
course
wish
it's
you
ready.
hadn't
We've
opened
spent
that
so
fire
much
break.
money and time on
Okay,
it.
listen, you need
Set
to
it
find
loose on the
Hartman
world.
and kill him before he gets out into the bureau.
That thing is a person?
He was a person. We brought him here to study after he was,
But yeah, like
altered
the
in an
amount of
AWE.
collectibles in
I
these
forget the
games
medical word for what
can
happens, but,
absolutely
well,
break
like,
the pacing.
physically it hurts him.
Which,
Do
you know,
have a flashlight?
that's one of the reasons why
A
Max
lantern?
Payne goes by
Heavy.
so quickly.
Oh,
Is
yeah,
like
flare gun. Oh, Christmas
there
lights.
is stuff
could
that
wrap
you
them
can
around
look
I
your
at
don't
in
have
that
any of
game
those, Langston.
that it's mostly just TV.
Okay,
Like you would
well,
walk across
I'm
TV
sure you'll
episodes
think
the
of
same
something.
way you do in
I'll
all
keep an
these
eye on you
games,
from the
but
Panopticon.
if I
This is kind of
remember
exciting,
correctly, I don't think
Maybe
you've
from where
come
you're
across
standing.
anything written.
Right. Okay. Well,
I think it's pretty much just
break a leg.
playable, like
Oh,
interactable
nice.
video and stuff that you run
Okay,
into.
this Hartman thing can't have gotten very far. Let's go
Which, hey,
flush him out.
that works because Max Payne is like
Langston was right.
Max Payne
This
is
is kind of
somehow
exciting.
faster
Nice
paced
to
than
have
both of
someone
these
to
games.
talk to, you know? Ever since I got put in charge of the Panopticon, people treat me different, like I'm crazy
The
for
third
wanting to
thing.
work with altered items.
The
People
third
just don't
thing.
understand the altered items like I do, you know? I don't want to brag, but it does take a very...
So it also like it contextualizes the FBC as so much of a bigger thing when like all of Alan Wake and all of the nonsense that was going on there more like it gets its own wing dedicated to it in the building, but it gets its own wing dedicated to it in the building. Like it's only one of the big ones. Ordinary was potentially larger, right?
Yeah.
We're supposed to be on
And
the
even
same
then, you've still
team,
got
but
Willow.
sometimes it feels like it's every department for themselves, like it's a race, and we're all trying to be number one. If it is a race, though, I'd say
It sets up, I think more than anything, it sets up, like, just how powerful Jesse is by the end of the game.
Kind of wild.
Even by the middle of the game. Like, you know, obviously there's this maintaining of the masquerade kind of going on, where
The veil.
this, yeah, like the power wouldn't leak out into the real world in
He's just gonna
any
talk
meaningful
forever,
way
isn't he?
because their concerns are so focused and so straightforward, but at the same time, like her existing in this larger world is also kind of crazy.
I met them at Thanksgiving. Big family, very nice people. Anyway, she has a key to my
It's one of those questions I've always had about, like, this kind of fiction is like, when you get your characters to deal with such crazy shit, and you bring their power up to such a high level, it's hard to imagine them coming back down from that after, and, like, going to get a coffee at a diner, you know? Especially, like, Jesse has devoted the last 17... Man, Langston is going on.
He just keeps going.
Like, Jesse has devoted the last 17 years of her life to Dylan. So, once Dylan is done, once the FBC is done, she kind of doesn't have, like, a life to go back to.
Not really.
I named him after my favorite poet. Felt like a good fit.
I look at the screen and Langston is still going.
You know, I don't really remember where I got Alfred from. But, boy, those two...
Alfred's a good name
not
for a cat.
get along. Oh, no. Sylvia thought she owned the place. Didn't like me getting in her way, scratched me more
I
than
kind of
once.
wanted to see how long it would take for this to play out, but this doesn't make for good TV.
Wow.
Realizing now that
What are you
Kinda
talking
harsh.
about? It's great. He's still... Holy shit!
See, Sylvia didn't tolerate most people.
If I cared enough, I would put a timer on the screen.
And that's what I meant when I
But I
said
don't.
asshole.
Also, I think
Never
I would
used
have to
the word
do
person. It was
I would have
just,
to do a lot to make that work in the context of the video editor.
Hey, there's a light flashing on the console here. I got to check
Fuck
this
it.
out.
Just put another photo of Barry's face
Real
on
smooth,
screen.
Langston.
That I can do.
Okay, finally he stopped.
Well, that's what happens when you invoke the power of Barry.
That's right.
Now I need to go ahead and make a note here to put Barry's face in the video.
If you don't, you'll have violated causality and we'll all die.
That's right. I'll have created a plot hole with which the dark presence can use to birth itself into the new reality.
That's right.
Nobody wants that, except for the dark presence, I guess. Here's a point that we didn't really touch on, by the way, when we did American.
Yeah.
I mentioned at one point that for all of his evil and his like skeeziness, Scratch is kind of an idiot, and his whole downfall came from the fact that he was like constantly gloating over the fact that he kept Alan trapped in a time loop without realizing that he inadvertently trapped himself in the time loop and couldn't get out of it.
He's evil. He's not smart.
He is not smart.
It's like you were saying at the time, he never really had a plan.
He had a plan, but it was...
Not a good one.
It was not a good... Okay. Like many things in life, there is a quote from Buffy the Vampire Slayer that I really like, which is, yeah, I had a plan. It was a good one. Carefully laid out. What I got for him. And then he just like charges at her. That's pretty much Scratch. Hey. That's kind of nightmarish in and of itself. Because there's always the horror of like a villain that could potentially trap you in a time loop. Like, but what if Dio accidentally, every time he started activating his own powers, got himself trapped in it?
That's like world ending. Like, when you're writing a program that is designed to affect the timescale for a certain amount of time, but you forget to exempt the program from the altered timescale.
Shit, I locked myself out of my own program.
That's right.
Well, now somebody infinitely better than me has to come along and figure out how to get it working. They need to understand how I coded this thing before, like, without me telling them. They have to understand my brain better than I did to avoid making the same mistakes that I did in real time. And that's also the thing, right? Is like, Alan and Emma and everybody in the time loop, like, they were retaining their memories. But Scratch had his memories from the beginning. Like, he remembers every loop. And he's still lost.
Because he's not very smart.
What the fuck is he doing? Oh, he's so stupid, but I love him stealing candy from Remedy's officers, like, more than anything. That's my favorite part of the whole... I think my favorite part of anything that has to do with American Nightmare is probably him stealing a bunch of candy from Remedy.
It's so good.
Alan Slays the Demon is also really good. I don't know if I like Balance Slays the Demon more than stealing candy. I like them both.
It's so petty.
Just the look on his face is what gets me, because he, like, why would he be worried? It's so good. Also, like, the little things in that trailer are also great. Like him riding a scooter through the offices for no reason. And
no reason at all.
Casually flipping off a photo of Alan Wake in the lobby as he walks past it. Scratch is great. He's the worst and he's great.
He's the best at being the worst.
Man. Now you're just making... Okay. You saying best at being the worst doubles down my happiness that in that new pre-show, I put the full trailer for Pokemon Live in there. I am very happy that the entirety of Pokemon Live is available on YouTube, and everyone should go watch it. Because it's not great. And I say that as somebody who loves theater and loves Pokemon.
Now, does that make it better or worse?
It depends on who you ask.
Depends on
If you
your
ask
perspective.
if you ask Andrew Rannells, the dude who played James and then later went on to play... Well, he played a bunch of stuff. He's probably most famous for being the main guy in a Book of Mormon. He's really good. He hated his time in Pokemon Live and is like incredibly embarrassed and actively kind of angry every time somebody reminds him about it. And I can understand that, but I personally think Pokemon Live is great. It's terrible, but I love it. It's not art, but I like it. I mean, hey, they have a giant Mecha Mewtwo in that show.
I get the feeling
Like
I'm going to need this.
Like a Mewtwo with like tank treads on his feet and armor.
That kicks ass.
There are production photos of that thing that exist, and it looks like it weighs about as much as a car. It's pretty great. There was also a time, I think, where you could get an official Pokemon card that was just Mecha Mewtwo.
I'm glad
Also,
that that's a thing.
Me too. They have a lot of dumb Pokemon cards for, like, just one-off year jokes or whatever that are forever part of the collection. They've got this one dude. Oh God, what was his name? Pokemon. Yes, it was Imakuni. Tomoaki Imakuni, rather. And he was like an entertainer in Japan. And they just have like these really creepy Pokemon cards of pictures of him in like, he looks like a Teletubby kind of outfit, but with, you know, with a face cut out for him.
Yeah, I think I know what you mean.
You can just get like 3 or 4 of those cards and they can never take it back. And I love it.
I need a ranger sent to this location stat.
That's my favorite shit. But also, hey, you know what?
Nice to see a director out
Some
in
of the
field.
music in that stage show isn't too bad. Team Rocket has a song that's really good. Giovanni has a song that's really good. And the rest of them are, I mean, most of the good songs are taken from, like, Pikachu's Jukebox, which is perfect. Anybody ever gets in your face and tells you that Pikachu's Jukebox isn't, like, high art, you can just tell them to leave. You don't need that kind of negativity. I mean, Double Trouble has lines such as, we could start a riot in Sunday school, and do unto others is our golden rule, which is pretty good. I'm just a fan of Team Rocket in general. Could be deceiving, do unto others is our golden. Yeah, big combat arena this time. Kind of crazy how much of your options open up just with your ability to levitate.
It's crazy.
This game is kind of particularly difficult in the beginning because you have
So few options.
Yeah, totally. And just as it goes on, that power creep gets more and more pushed in your favor. Obviously, it's by no means easy, but definitely easier than it was. 'Cause, like, you remember, like, the first couple of fights in that game almost dying because you're like, well, I can't do anything, really. It's kind of DPS.
Mm-hmm. But then the tactics kind of open up.
Tactics open up, different weapon configurations open up, and just your ability to, like, throw off the aim of anything not directly on the ground is great. Probably, man, control is really fun, and it probably goes a long way towards saying I didn't even know that we've been live for over an hour because it's just a good time.
And you're not even playing.
I'm not. And it's a shame too because you're like X-menning it up over here, flying around and being Magneto and tossing shit off the ground. It looks good. Honestly, this makes me want to play Spider-Man. I want to have superpowers, goddammit. Or Prototype, but I don't actually think I have my 360 copy of Prototype anymore. I can't imagine why I ever would have gotten rid of it, but I definitely don't seem to have it anymore. Which, hey, I mean, I've got an original launch copy of Mass Effect 3 before they patched in the good endings. And I hate that game so much, but I don't have Prototype. I should point out specifically, I hate that version of Mass Effect 3 because it is bad. When we eventually get around to doing Mass Effect 3, I don't know how I'm gonna do it, but I feel like it's necessary to show you, like, to go through the ending and to go through the full ending with all the DLC and the completed story. And then after that, show you the original ending that took away all of the context and, like, the implication of so much death and destruction, but in like a writer didn't think about it kind of way. And I don't know if I'm gonna have to, like, plug in the 360 and run an old save file or something to do it, but it's such a night and day difference. Actually, that's not even true. It's night to dusk difference. There's a whole lot of bad still in that ending that exists, but it's not. There's some brightness in there too. You might even say there are 3 distinct colors of brightness.
You might say that.
I mean, there are 4 endings, I think, technically. Like, if you're not counting all of the this character this and all that nightmare. But it's not like the 3 endings. I think there are 4 of them in total, but I don't think that there are 4 different colored endings. I think there are 3 colors. And it's probably depressing that I think you know exactly what I mean.
Oh, I do.
They promised everybody, and then they lied. Never forget that EA killed Mass Effect, and then they made Andromeda and killed it a second time. Never forget. Also, I don't know about you, but Andromeda kind of feels like it was forever ago. Andromeda was 2017. Like, that was not that long ago at all. But to me, it felt like Andromeda was like 5 to 10 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it feels like it's been a minute, huh?
You know, damn. I love Mass Effect so much. And just the history of how everything turned out is just like, man, what a cautionary tale, I guess. And you know what's funny? As much as it's a cautionary tale, in recent years we've seen the same problems happen twice on a really large scale. Because it happened with Game of Thrones almost exactly the same way. And it happened to Star Wars in a slightly different way, but still very large and colored way. Only difference is Star Wars can't afford to take 3 more years off right now.
I sure would like if it did, though. Because then maybe it would never come back.
Hey, you know... Oh, man, I say this... Okay. Let me say this in stages, alright?
Okay.
Stage 1, I was gonna say, The Mandalorian was pretty good. I liked that first season. And then stage 2, oh wait, they're making a second season. And then stage 3 is me going, wait a second, aren't they bringing like Boba Fett into the second season? And I'm like, oh man, I really hope they don't fuck up what they had, but I also have
no faith.
I have very little faith. I have faith in the showrunner, Dave Filoni, I believe. That might be how you pronounce his name. If not, I apologize. But Dave, I guess. He made a lot of really good Clone Wars stuff, and that first Mandalorian season is really, really great.
But I wish that all of these people would apply their talents to something that sucks less.
It's like they have it costs too much money for them to make. There's too much money for it to make for Disney not to step in and make it bad.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the second that you start seeing, oh man, Mandalorian was the best thing to come out of Star Wars in the last 5 years, it sure was way better than the movie that came out the same year and everybody hated. And it's impossible for you to look at that and for Disney to look at that and go like, well, we gotta get some producers on that. We gotta get some more workshop on that, because we gotta keep that money train going. And it's like, no, dude, no, it was fine. Just stay away, producer man.
Like, whatever happened to just letting it rock?
Too much money to make.
Oh, man.
It's too much money.
I came all this way, and now I can't seem to get through here, and I'm not sure what it wants from me.
I believe it wants you to find Hartman in the Fra Mauro AWE area, and then later, the Eagle Limited AWE area. I just get that implication.
Fucking hungry.
Wait a second. What room were you in with that big, like, cylindrical?
The turntable.
The Panopticon?
No. No, it was like a railway thing. It's kind of like this room that I'm running through right now.
Ah, okay. I mean, that first one was... God, I wish that I knew the map to this game better.
I mean, I have the map, it's just not very helpful.
Yeah, the, just like the differently colored shadings for different levels of the map is something that a lot of people have complained about, for sure. I kind of wish that it was I think we said this when we were doing, the first couple episodes, but I kind of wish that it was a Metroid Prime style 3D map.
Yeah, or like a Doom map. That'd be pretty good.
Which is kind of crazy because, like, the game freezes on a small scale every time that you enter the map, and it looks like this. So if it was more complicated, it would probably do even worse.
It would probably not handle it well, yeah.
Maybe with the unlimited gaming power of the cloud, they might be able to properly make a map that loads in.
God, don't even get me started on fucking Crackdown 3. That first game was so good!
Yeah, it was.
And I don't think
The
I need...
unlimited power of the cloud allowed us to cast Terry Crews and use up all of our budget. And then not give him anything funny to say. That game came out.
It did, and it took me a while to realize it.
Nobody talked about it.
Nobody cared.
I didn't care.
I didn't care because it was an Xbox One exclusive.
I mean, we can play those games.
You can play those games.
But, like, the royal we. Like, we can play those games. Like, footage of those games exists, so that even if you couldn't play it, you could go and watch it.
But I don't care.
You don't care. Brooklyn Nine-Nine is only so good, guys.
I want... More than anything, I want that first game on PC. Because it was the best one.
I would not be surprised if... I would not be surprised if that game one day gets like a shiny remake.
I would rather they just remaster it, because it was perfect.
You know what I mean. Remaster is what I mean, not like a remake.
I mean, the art style holds up, just upscale the resolution.
Man, you say that? Did you fucking hear about 13?
About what?
The video game 13?
No.
Oh, shit. Are you aware of what 13 is?
No.
It is something that you would love. Okay, so 13 was a first-person shooter that was pretty much, like, primarily cel-shaded and looked like a comic book panel in motion, right? It was very well loved. It was like a cult classic. It was like a secret agent James Bond-ish type deal. Not quite James Bond, but like secret agent-ish comic FPS. They remade it and basically just made it look like a regular shooter.
Why?
Well, okay, see, that's the thing, right? That's part one. Is the question of why would they do that? So they made it look like a generic shooter, and it came out like a week or two ago. And in addition to that, they also released alongside it the original 13 on PC. And guess what happened?
One of them vastly outsold the other?
Yeah, the original, like, by a factor of 3, just completely trounced the remake. And everybody looked at the remake and said, you spent so much money on this, why did you make it bad? Well, why did you take away the only unique part of this game? Now, the bad news is that was very expensive. And it did not do well. The good news is, the original version you can play on Steam, and it did very, very well. See, you get a little bit of a righteous indignation there.
God, I hate these fucking flying guys with the guns.
Yeah. I mean, so that's the thing that I always want to happen, is like, I always want for like the stage to be set for somebody to make a remake, and then for people to say, no, I like the original, the remake cost too much money and didn't do the thing right.
Mm-hmm.
I like it when something, I like when something can stand up on its own merit despite showing its age. Which is why we may or may not be playing that that 3-hour-long Tom Hanks game for the GameCube, which is not good. Because it's an example of how you don't do that.
Someone to talk to, you know? Ever since I got put in charge of the
That had nothing to do with anything. I have it on my head. I have it on my brain still.
People just don't understand the altered items like I do.
Why did the dialogue start again?
Brag, but it does take a very empathetic mind to connect with
You didn't get you didn't get your fill of it the last time.
Right.
It was so good they decided to repeat it a second time.
It lasts for like 5 minutes.
Luckily, you don't have to listen to the whole thing, though.
I sure don't.
I was really worried that you were going to say you do and have some reason. I'm glad that I was wrong.
Could you imagine?
No, you don't understand. The door doesn't unlock until the fucking thing finishes. Oh my god.
So anyway,
oh
like
no!
I was saying before,
oh no!
Still, I don't know why people are making it so personal. I mean, the teams in research
Pay close attention.
natural materials every day, and
I'm
no
watching.
one thinks they're weird.
I'm waiting.
Well, maybe
I'm
that's
biding
not
my
true.
time.
Darling is famous for being a bit out there, but when he's weird, it's charming. Altered items really aren't that frightening once you get to
That's
know
pretty
them.
good.
If you figure out what they
That's
like
pretty
about
good and
them,
pretty bad.
You know, what sets them off, then there's nothing to worry about. I guess at the end of the day, we're still just wild.
Talking shit about Dr. Darling. Langston's got nothing on Dr. Darling. Although, you know what? I'll say it's still a thing that makes me happy whenever I see it. Even in a situation like this, and whenever video games now will have you like in the middle of a conversation and you jump out to like go grab a collectible or whatever, and you get back in and they're like, okay, so like I was saying, some games do it really, really well and some games just do it okay. But after so many years of not having it at all, I'm happy even when it's not great.
Mm-hmm.
Uncharted does it really well. Because they have like... God, what... Oh, you know what? Another part of that I really like is in GTA 4, I think was the first time that I saw this.
Yeah, you're right.
Like on the way to a mission, if you died and had to restart, they would have like 2 or 3 repetitions, but like different actually recorded conversations that lead into the same things. So you're not actually just listening to the same thing if you fail a mission 2 or 3 times. That's great. And like GTA 4 was a game that I loved and played enough that I started intentionally restarting checkpoints so that I could get all of the incidental dialogue between characters. Because you can learn stuff about like Packy and his brothers, and there's people just talking shit about Manny Escuela.
Because he sucks.
Manny Escuela does suck. So does Brucey. I'm keeping an eye on the wiki here just to make sure that we've got everything that we need to have. Tell you what.
Yeah.
I take a good look at game wikis a lot for, you know, just dumb random trivia that I like to look up to snoop around, I guess. Control has one of the better ones that I've seen.
I'm glad that it's robust.
It is.
Because this seems like the kind of game that would either have a really good one or a really bad one.
Yes. It totally fits also. Like, if any game was gonna have a good one, it would be this. Alan Wake has a big wiki, but not a good wiki. Because Alan Wake has, like, sections of that wiki which are just, like, unanswered questions and potential, like, wishful thinking, I guess.
A lot of speculation.
Speculation is, yeah, a better way to put it. Oh, you know what? Here's something that I want to talk about while you're holding that lamp.
Yeah?
We were just having a conversation about how it would be really cool if you had to fight Taken in this game, or like if you got to play as Alan Wake up to a certain point.
Those were both like, conversations that we had.
Like, the lighting must exist so that the lighting tech in this game, it wouldn't surprise me if they had some ability to weaponize it.
Right.
And I'm happy that it totally happens. I didn't know that that was a thing here. Very happy that it is. Hour and a half in, throat is starting to hurt. It's not great. I would drink more of this. I would drink more of this coffee faster if I hadn't put quite so much mint in it, because it kind of tastes like alcohol. Just a little bit. Oh, I imagine there is some alcohol in it. I think the extract that I use has some level of it. Biting commentary, I know. I know you're very interested, everybody, in what I'm talking about. Guess what? Most of the time, it's nothing. Black coffee is like nature's candy if you hate yourself. Go ahead and put that on a t-shirt. And then sell it on Redbubble and don't quit.
God damn it!
A side effect of following a whole lot of artists on Twitter is seeing a bunch of posts just about every week as to like, hey, this Redbubble shit is stealing my art from like 3 years ago. Can everybody just report it? And it's like, yeah, of course. But also seeing that like every week is really disheartening.